In this video, I'm going to talk about continuity, one of the foundations of any kind of narrative. There are lots of different kinds of continuity, so I'm going to go over some that you may be more familiar with first, and then we're going to talk about shooting and editing for continuity. So continuity really refers to just having consistency in your shots, because a lot of times scenes are not shot all at the same time. You have to go back, or you have to reshoot. So first we're going to look at a couple of examples of bad continuity. As you can see here, we have the case of the moving tattoo. In this shot, his tattoo's down here, and in this shot, his tattoo is much higher up on his shoulder. So that would be a continuity error. Here from The Wizard of Oz, we have the magical growing hair. In the first shot up here, she has very long pigtails, and in the second shot, her hair magically shrank. In Pretty Woman, sorry, she magically switches her food. In this shot, she's eating, I don't know, a croissant, right? And in this one, she's having a pancake. It should have been the same food. So on film production, you actually have a person who is in charge of keeping track of the continuity. You could also make an argument there's a lack of continuity in her hair. In the first shot, if this was supposed to seem continuous, her hair's in the front, and then in the second shot, it's in the back. So there is a person who makes notes about details like what is she eating, where did the hair, how is she sitting, things like that. So that way, if you had to go back and reshoot and edit in just a moment of it, everything would look the exact same. Here's one. I'll pause and let you guys look at it for a second. There are a couple of issues with his wardrobe. Do you see those things? Like the sash and the pin, they're on the different sides. So that's something that when you are shooting your upcoming project, not your homework assignment, you're going to have a homework assignment first of just practicing editing continuity and shooting for continuity. Then your next big project, which is called composition and time. And you may have to shoot some things at different times. So make sure, let's say if there's a clock in the background, that you are always checking the time. If you have any kind of wardrobe, particular things that you're wearing on one day, make sure you're wearing it the next time that you end up shooting. So a lot of that's kind of common sense. But now we're going to talk about shooting with a single camera. So one camera for this project, but the goal is to make it look like you have cameras at different angles. So you're going to practice continuous action between shots, continuous space between shots, continuous sound between shots, editing to create the continuity between your shots. So how do you do it? You're going to have your two shots. You're going to perform an action 2 times, such as a really easy one, a good one to practice, is just simply opening the door. So you perform it 2 times. So I'm over here in Premiere, and here's my first shot. Just walking and opening the door all the way. Okay? And then, so the camera is obviously behind me, and then I move the camera out into the room out here, but I go back into the room and I shoot the whole thing again, now with the camera out here. Okay, so you have a lot of extra footage. And now your goal, so I have the camera here, I have the camera here. Now the goal is to make the edit on the action. And the reason that we do the edit on the action is because it's kind of distracting. It's a lot easier to make a good seamless edit when it's on an action such as opening the door than just like in a mid step. So I'll zoom in here. I'm just going to do it quickly so that way, you guys don't have to watch it. But basically, I would look for the moment when I just start to open the door. So let's see, something just tiny bit starts to open, maybe about there. Trim that down and then go to this clip and try to get it to where it's that clip A just left off. So where I've just started to open the door about that much, something like that. Now you really need to do this frame by frame. I'm just doing it very quickly. And also my light kind of shifts. This was very bright and the other one is darker, so that's not going to look perfect, but just very briefly, There we go, something like that. But when I look at your homework assignments, I do look at them frame by frame. So I really make sure that you have cut at the exact same spot. So where this one ends, I would look to see like just exactly how far the door is already open, just a tiny bit, and make sure that that's exactly where the second clip picks up. Okay, so I have this kind of written down in the PowerPoint, and you can look over that and have that as a reference. Well, this is everything I just went over. Now, I have posted on Blackboard a couple of past student examples, and some are really spot on, and some are maybe they could be edited, just trimmed a couple of frames here and there. So I have them kind of for two things. One, I have some that are just singles to show you what like a single scene looks like, because you have to do 3 of these, and then others just to simply show you what I'm talking about, where I want 3 of them on a single timeline. Okay, so if we look at these past student examples, this is the first clip and here's the second clip. And it looks pretty good, but if you look at the second clip, this is really just where it starts. Her hand is already on the inside of the door and it's already open. So this one cuts and her hand, it really should have gone a little bit further. It should have gone to the point where her hand was also on the door. But it's pretty good like when you watch it continuously and like not looking frame by frame. But when you look frame by frame, you can see wasn't quite there. All right. The really good one to practice is walking up the stairs and making a turn. And it's also really hard because what you have to make sure is when the person walks up the stairs both times, that they land both times with the same foot. So in this example, this guy is walking first and he has his left foot on the top stair and then he goes around the corner. And then the second time, when they move the camera over here and he walks up, he has his right foot. So that's a break in continuity. But that's a really good one to practice. But just be aware and make sure that if it's you or someone else, that when you walk up the stairs, the 2 times that you have your feet in the exact same spot. This one, here's the problem, is that in the first cut, he has clearly reached the landing. And then in the second cut, when it starts, it's a little bit hard to see because this is cut off, but it doesn't look like he's reached the landing. So when you play this, it kind of looks like he's gone back a step. All right. And does this seem right? Not really, right? So this is the end of the first clip, and you can see his legs are already straightened. It's a little bit of an odd camera angle also just because his head's cut off. But you can see his legs are straightened, so the assumption is he should be a little bit straighter here. But the problem with something like this also is just it needs to have continuity and show us the same body parts. So both of these shots really should have been done more wide angle so we could see how his back is bent here and we could see his legs and bring that continuity. On Blackboard, I have some good examples posted here of these are just the ones that are like the singles. So you have to do 3 of these. So this person did for his one scene actually 3 edits. That was a really good jump. And then we have the landing. So that's actually pretty difficult to do. They did a very nice job with the editing. And here's another one. Also, what works is the fact that they edit right on the action. So if we go through that kind of like frame by frame, he's just picking up the book. And here we can see that his arms are in the same position that they were in over in the previous one. So where we can see that they're a little bit bent. So that what makes it work. When you are editing something with action, what's really important is that you make sure there's continuous action. So if in your first clip, the person is going from the right to the left, in the second clip, they have to continue going from the right to the left. So I'll show you an example. So in this past student's example, I don't know, he dressed up like Superman. And what we had in this first shot was he's out of scene and then he runs from the right side to the left side out. And it's supposed to look like He's kind of chasing a person. So then the camera moves and we see this park scene, and they're both out of scene as well, and then they both walk in from the right to the left. And that makes it look like he was continuing to walk along and move into the next scene. This was an accident. As you can see here, it looks like it's reversing. It was supposed to look like continuous running down, but it looks like reversing because he went from the left side to the right side, and then he went from the right side to the left side. So when you're shooting something, this is another really good continuity practice, that you want it to look like it's continuous. So someone is running from frame to frame, make sure that they go in the same direction from both shots. Okay, so that's all that I'm going to cover in terms of continuity. And look on Blackboard. I have all of those examples there. Or did I just have Blackboard? Sorry. I have the examples there and your homework description, but you're going to do 3 of these scenes. So each scene has to have one action in it. And then you're going to repeat that action twice and then edit cut on the action. And then do 3 of those in the same timeline. And you can look at these examples here so that it's just, I see one action, only has to last like 10 seconds, fade down to black, give me a couple seconds of black, fade up, give me the next one. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.